All right, I have no idea what I'm doing here because I did a dumb. Anyway, I did a whole 30-minute video and my microphone wasn't on. So I just showed you in that quick clip there. I have a centrifuge, a Vivor. It was on sale. It was about $150, $160 Amazon. And this is honey. And this is came from the full frame that I harvested, and I don't know, about 50 ounces. Oh, great. Now this just popped up. No. My Something popped up on my computer. So yeah, this is just some honey. And here I was getting ready to light the smoker talking about some guy on YouTube that I forget the channel's name, the guy's name. He was talking about and showing a new essential oil vapor type smoker system. It's electronic, doesn't have any fire. I mean, I'm always paranoid about using mine out where I'm at. I did go out and rake up stuff around the hives earlier before I did this video and screwed up and didn't turn on my microphone. And I thought it was kind of nifty, especially where I'm at, because it is dry and it's a tinderbox. And I've got dry pine needle all around me. That's what I used for my smoker was is dry pine needle. I just got to bend over and pick it up. But I got to be very, very careful with my smoker out there. I don't need an ember going into something and lighting a fire because it would burn everything down. But anyway, I don't know. You go out and explore and see one of these new. Wow, that was interesting. I'm kind of doing a review of my own video. I didn't even notice that I used the tool to close it with. That was weird. In fact, I gotta fix that smoker. It's got a little tear in the bellows down on the bottom. I gotta I got some faux leather and some leather glue, and I can fix that. I've done it to my old smoker. I had to fix the bellows because the leather was falling apart. The bellows is, I mean, my old smoker's like 50 years old. So anyway, yeah, check out that new vapor system. I hear it's expensive. So my big thing was, and as I'm pointing my finger there, is to inspect that 8 frame, which was the vault. That was the vault cutout that didn't have a queen. It was queenless, and I can see me flapping around, and yeah, I got bees in front of me. I did take a peek in there earlier when I was sweeping, and there's a lot of bees in there. A lot of young bees, but I know there's a lot of brood in there before I did the swap last week. So even if I killed the queen, there would be a lot of young bees in there. So we're going to open them up and take a look. And I was checking the top. I still have a super that can go on top of this, and was actually thinking about throwing the super on probably next week. Um, I mean, spoiler alert, I already know what's going on. This top box is full of honey. Uh, there's a little bit of brood, old brood, that hasn't emerged yet, and it looks like they're backfilling with nectar as the brood emerges. So it's kind of interesting. They You can see on the frame there they're forming comb. They're drawing that comb out on that wax foundation. So they're working it. They're working it. And now I'm telling myself I was going to shake them off, and I'm going to set that to the side. And I accidentally dropped it in the dirt. And then I picked it back up, set it down there. There you go. And then I start pulling some frames. And as I start getting deeper and deeper in there, there's a lot of honey. Now there's some old brood right there, but I don't see any egg in there just yet. And it looked like they were backfilling and capping. There's a lot of bee in there. This is a pretty good colony now. So hi everybody. Just you don't hear the sights and sounds and bee buzzing and anything like that because yeah, I already said it. I screwed up. But it's like I need to salvage this thing. So go to the next frame and yeah, figure out how to use the tool, buddy. Let's see what the next frame. Oh yeah, look at all that. They're already. It's like almost a full frame capped right there already. And they're just going to town on this stuff. They're just going to town. And here's another one. It's not quite fully capped. They're still working on the bottom. But it's pretty close. I don't know if I'm going to take a bunch from them or not. But well, spoiler alert again, I did steal a frame. I'll see if we can point it out here as I get to it. Because I mentioned it, I'm like, man, this is all fully capped and ready to go. I might take it. And I did. So I think it was that one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that one that I came back and took. Because it's just fully capped. It's ready to go. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to harvest it by hand. I'll do what I did with the last frame. And just cut it out and crush it out. And there's another one that they're working on. They're just going to town. There's still a lot of buckwheat out there. Went to go to breakfast this morning, and there was some buckwheat right outside out front, and the bees were all over it earlier this morning. All sorts of bees and buggers, natural pollinators, everything. Then there's there was that addition that I put in there when I expanded them, when I put them in the 8 frame. And they hadn't quite touched that frame yet, so just slide that back in there. And you can see that microphone dangling off the front of my veil there that isn't worth a flip at the moment because I didn't turn it on. But anyway, the one thing I'm using Streamlabs here because that other program that I have lags, and I couldn't figure out how to add audio without just like making an audio track. This one, I haven't figured out how to stop the video. I can add it in and I can talk over it, but I have no controls on to stop it, fast forward it, pause it, do whatever to it. So I'm just kind of doing this raw and live as I go. So I told myself, I need to get into the bottom box here because I didn't see what I was looking for as far as any. There was some brood, and it looked like they were backfilling. So I didn't, of course, see any larvae. Everything was capped. So I got to get down below and take a look and see and make sure I didn't do a dumb when I moved them. So we set those guys off to the side and start looking in the bottom here. And they're being challenging. They're not being too horrible. And I did accidentally crush a bee on a frame when I went to pull it out. Of course, I mean, every time I do that, it's like, was that the queen? Was that the queen? So that was, again, one of the frames with new foundation. They hadn't even touched it yet. And I think the next one's going to be new foundation. And I think they had just started to draw it out. So I'm going to just keep poking. They seem to be straightening out their old wonky comb from my cutout, because they still have comb in there from a cutout. So you can see there's a lot of bee in there. I think that was new foundation from the old box, and they're filling it with resources. And then that's old brood comb, and it's full, and I can see some larvae and stuff, I think, but you can see that brood comb, it's all capped off, and it's immense. There's a lot of brood there. And the one thing I wasn't seeing was any sort of any emergency queen cells or anything. Nothing like that. But that's all brood. And there's where I squished. And I'm like, oh God, why did I do that? But yeah, that's their old comb. But at some point in time, and I don't think it was that frame, because I don't know. It might have been the other side of that frame. That I got excited because guess what? I found fresh egg. So the queen's still in there and she's laying. And I started checking other frames and I found more fresh egg and laying. So everything looks good in there. And that's when I decided that it was time to hang it up, because everything seemed right, and that was it. Forget it. Run away. I don't want to fool around too much. Everything looked pretty decent in there. I think that's when I noticed I started getting a couple of stings, because I squished that bee. They got angry. They came out a little bit ugly. And of course my smoker was getting dumb, so I had to go. I think I went and am I about to walk away and go get some more fuel? Something like that. As I have the power of the future. I know what happened. No, but I will. I'll go get more fuel. So yeah, I think at this point I decided that let me see. I check one more frame. Yeah, I guess I check one more frame. And again, everything was positive. Look at all those bees. Look at them. Isn't that crazy? That was a queenless cutout. And look at them now. And it's all from my one hive behind me. All the queens out here now came from that one hive. So it goes to show you how quickly you can multiply and not and be dumb. But yeah, I was checking. I was actually kind of trying to queen spot, but didn't see. But I saw plenty of egg and decided that everything was good in there. So might as well leave it alone. But that's when I started contemplating that I was going to pull a frame of honey and slip in a new frame of fresh foundation and go from there. Because I don't think I mentioned it. I did mention it in the original audio that, of course, didn't take. That I have a buyer for my honey already. The guy said that he would buy it by the bucket, so I don't have to package it. I don't have to label it. If I come up with and I'm assuming he was kind of in a hurry. I kind of caught him in the middle of dinner. I might have to stop by again maybe next weekend and clarify a few things with him. But I was going to say around, I think he said around $230 to $250, maybe for 5 gallons. I don't know. I can't eat that much honey. I don't know if that's a good wholesale deal or not. I certainly can make a little bit of money back on the expense of what I've been doing, and basically I'll be kind of sort of a commercial beekeeper at that point. If you know, right? If I'm selling my honey to a distributor wholesale, I mean, he took a he took a whiff of my honey and kind of gave me the nod of approval of yeah, I'll buy that. So there you go. Not too bad for a first year backyard beekeeper, right? So at this point, I think I'm saying I'm going to just cover these guys up. I left a bunch of bees on the table. They got to fly away. And I'm going to go move the camera, I think I said. Or, oh, no, I was going to check these out. That's right. I was going to check this super out and see how the bees are doing with it. I didn't really go deep in there. I just wanted to check and see how they were doing as far as capping things off, because that super is full and I've just been waiting for them to cap it. I haven't fooled around too much with these guys. I mean, there shouldn't be any issues down below in there as far as being queen right or anything. I don't think they're too full yet. I think they're still building up. There's a lot of bee there on top. I don't know if they're just up there ventilating. I got all the lids cracked to release heat out of the top and moisture. But I was a little bit disappointed again in that they don't have this stuff capped off yet, and you'll see it here. It seems to be more towards the southern facing edge of the box, which is away from us, but you can see right there, it's all full, it's been full, and it's not capped yet. So I don't know. I got the one colony that have all these full frames that are all capped off and been getting capped off. But for some reason they're not capping off on these supers yet. But yeah, that's all I'm doing here. I'm pulling a few frames and checking to see how far they've gotten. I'm just waiting week after week, and that's what I'm hoping for. As soon as all these supers are capped off, then I'll get that centrifuge. I'll get that spinner there all cleaned and sanitized and tried out for the first time. You can see half of it. See, it's getting there. It's getting there. They're starting to cap it off. Of course, I don't want to touch it until it's all capped. I'll let them be the masters of that they know when it's ready, and leave it up to the bees. I'm guessing, and I'm assuming that at some point in time, if they have a majority of it capped, I guess, I don't know, and if you have a meter and you can check it to tell you whether or not it's that its water content is low enough that it won't ferment, but leave it at that. So now I think I say I'm going to go and move the camera over to the other side here, so we can go and check the other super. And then from there, I was going to go and get a fresh frame in my box, and come back. Yeah, here we go. This is where things is getting low, and I refill it. Well, we're 20 minutes in, so we got about 10 more minutes left of me talking to myself about myself here. We'll see how quickly this goes. There we go. Get the smoker back on. And I think at some point, I don't know if I mentioned it before, I got a little tear on my bellows and I need to fix it, which is easy enough and fine. So, yep, there we go. So I moved the camera so we can check. Now this is the OG colony, I guess. I think I was mentioning things about how everybody's got a name for their colonies. So this is the OG colony. This was one of the original cutouts. And I think I'm talking about, and that colony is responsible for all these splits. So I got the first 2 frames split, and then I've got the full split, full brood box split where I did a full split. I split the colony completely in half. And then I've got the requeen on the vault. So I've got the OG, the 2 frame, the split, and the vault. So there you go. And again, all I wanted to do was pop this one open and take a look at the super. I didn't want to dig too deep in it today. It was 103 out. We did have some overcast, so it wasn't like too brutal. But still, it was hot enough, and I didn't want to bug them too much, and I wanted to get out of the heat. In fact, I didn't even open up the 2 frame split, and I didn't even open them. I didn't even check them. They seemed to be fine. I really probably need to put a super on them before things go too far. I don't know. I have another super. So, yeah, there you go. You can see. Don't quite have it completely filled yet, but pretty much a bunch of uncapped nectar. And I think I don't even remember. I was just thumbing through it like a Rolodex and taking a look to see what's going on. But yeah, they were starting to fill up and cap off. But it's getting there. Oh, I know it's a lot of honey. I don't know if it's 10 gallons worth, but it's a lot of honey. We'll see. Then I was saying something about we're just going to collapse these frames back and give them a rest. Something like that. I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah, I think I'm getting ready. I'm just going to cover them back up. Yep. So that was that. I didn't really get down below. It's too hot, and I didn't want to bother them all that much. They're doing fine. And just put my little board back on there to vent them off so it doesn't get too hot in there. I know everybody says you're not supposed to keep bees under, cover like that, but I don't know. I had the one hive out there in that juniper bush, and it keeps them cooler in the summer, and it keeps the snow off of them in the winter. So I think it works out just fine. Every swarm I've ever had got underneath something. They weren't out in the open, I'll tell you that. Now what was I doing? I think, I was going to shut it off to go get that frame. So at some point in time, let's see. I don't know what I'm talking about. I have no idea what I was talking about. It's crazy. I don't remember what I did there. It's pointing something out. Oh well. All right, so there's a little wiggle, and I moved, and I went and got a box and a frame, and I'm going to pull out that frame of honey. But the one thing I did was when I shook off that frame of honey, I shook off a whole bunch of bees and they went everywhere. There's the frame that I harvested. And I'm like, yeah, I got the frame that I harvested. And then I said, oh, I'm going to go put it in the empty 5-frame double nook and just leave that in there. The bees can go in, and if they smell it, go in and clean it up. Or if a swarm smells it, if there's a swarm around and they smell it, I can capture a swarm. How's that? I was just going to leave that 5-frame out as a swarm trap. Now that was the leftover wax and honey from that frame. And I believe what I was explaining was I was going to take it over on the other side of the yard and set it down on an old bucket or something and let the bees have at it. In fact, I can see it from my window here. I'll have to walk out there and see if the bees caught wind of it yet and if they're digging on it or not. But I put it out in the area from last year where I used to put the sugar water buckets. Now I know other than the queen, none of these bees remember that because that was a long time ago and all the bees that were feeding off those buckets aren't alive anymore. So they'll have to figure it out on their own. But yeah, what did I do? Let me see. Did I pull the frame out yet? I wasn't watching. Let's see. I'm gonna do a disastrous dumb. Oh, okay, yeah. Here's the frame. I was like, which frame was it? Oh yeah, it was this frame. I want this frame because it was one of the darker frames on the end next to the new frames that aren't dark yet. And then I went, I better grab the grabber because it's being a butt. So I pulled it out and I went, yeah, it's that frame. And then I gave it a wiggle jiggle and I shook all the bees off and bees went everywhere. There they go. And then I was blowing them off. Trying to get all the bees off so I could put it into that little 2-frame for transportation purposes. I gotta leave that little 2-frame out somewhere because it's got a lot of honey dripped in the bottom of it. So as soon as I'm done with this frame and come back, I'm gonna put that 2-frame out there for the bees can clean it out, clean it up. But in the meantime, it's just a box for transportation. So I don't know what else I was talking about. I think I'm, oh, there's the new frame. Slide the new frame in there. And squeeze up everything back together. And then I'm going to be putting everything back on top and buttoning things up. So that's about it. Pretty much. We're almost done here, I hope. So far, so good. We're still queen right on that hive. So we made a successful transfer over without dropping the queen or smashing her or anything dumb. And they seem to be thriving pretty good. I forgot what I said. Oh, I know the one thing I was waiting for is the crows. You know, the crows, the ravens. They're really ravens, but I call them crows. Were not being very vocal while I was out there, so I didn't really have any crow jokes at the... Right after I got done, that's when they started getting vocal. I think they were laughing at me because they knew I didn't turn my microphone on. It's funny how they know these things. Wow, this is really great. Great footage. Uh, well, this is going to be an interesting one. At some point in time, I say, well, it's time to pack it up, put things away, and see you later or whatever. I don't know how much longer this video is, but I think we're about done. I'm grabbing the stylus, and that's it, folks. We'll see you later.